support, first of all, for the initial investment to get us going so that we could hire a fireworks company to do this, and then to Colin and Rob Lilborn for helping navigate some of the permissions that we needed to get to make this happen. Jason Chabot to work with the firework company to help locate and make sure that it was going to be safe and that Calent would not explode as a result of that event. Although in our safety meetings I had said that that would really give Strathroy a great marketing boost on YouTube because that certainly would become a viral video. Anyway, I'm excited that we're moving forward with this. Again, thanks to council. June 29th at the high school fields will be the location. If you want to sponsor this event and you're watching this, Strathroy-Caradoc@gmail.com. And tomorrow on My IFM, we're going to be also announcing our Facebook page where you can like and join and start getting updates about the event. So again, thank you very much.
Before we open up for any questions, a motion to receive the report. Councilor Canis, second by you, the Deputy Mayor, all in favor, carried. Now, are there any questions of Mr. Doss? Okay. See you
Thank you. See you June 29th.
Yeah, no, Chris, want to thank you and your committee. They just talked about community and stepping up for the community, so thank you to you and the committee for doing so. The public has asked for this, so on behalf of the community, thank you for stepping up and doing this. It's appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to our public meeting. The purpose of this public meeting is to provide information on the proposed official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment for the property known as 24605 Saxton Road. Motion to open the public meeting. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Canis. All in favor? Carried. Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. As you've noted, this is an official plan and zoning bylaw amendment applications for a property on Saxton Road. It's a site that council will remember came to a public meeting on August 6th of 2024. And since that time, the applicants have been working to address some of the comments that came forward during that public meeting and comments that were received from the various different agencies. You'll see on the location map, it's in the same spot as it was back in August, but it's larger now. So it's a piece that incorporates a larger piece of land. So what was previously an application for a property that was 1.8 hectares in size, it's now 3.14 hectares in size. And this is now incorporating an area of land that was previously had site, where it still has site plan approval for commercial uses, but they've now expanded into that area and moved the buildings, the apartment buildings, further. What I'll say is northwest on the site towards the Walmart. I'll get into some of those details as we move forward through the proposal, but this is the statistics. These are some of the statistics that I think are most relevant. The apartment buildings are increasing in size from 7 to 8 stories. The number of units in each of those is increasing from 80 to 92, so it's a total of 184 additional units. There's additional now townhouses that are coming in between the apartment building and Twin Elms, so it's acting as I'll call it a buffer between the two uses. They're back-to-back townhouses, and there's 36 of them, and they run the length of the property. We'll see that on the next image. Still an access to Saxton Road, and there's still a common central amenity area. If we move to the next slide, you'll see And then if the clerk could just move to the next page just very quickly. So this is the original site plan where it's grayed out was previous commercial development proposal. And now if we go back to the current one, thank you so much. Now you can see those apartment buildings have moved up on the page. The central amenity space has moved up on that area and removed the commercial from that portion of land. And then as we look to the south, or the bottom, sorry, of this page, you'll see smaller blocks. Those are townhouse blocks. And to this, further below this, not shown on the plan, is where Twin Elms is located. And it sort of gives you an idea of that location. If I can orient you some more, I'll say that Saxton Road is on the right-hand side. There's a single access point there. And then there's an internal road on the north, or the top side of this drawing, and beyond that road is where Walmart is located. And then on the left-hand side of this rectangle is another access road. There's one part of that access road that's important to note. Half of that is located on the site. The other half is located on the adjacent property, meaning you can leave from the site on these lands, but to enter the property, you would have to be on the adjacent property. There are easements and those sorts of things that could happen in the future, and that would be addressed through that process. But generally, it means that construction would need to happen, and which means it relies on the adjacent property to either do the construction, to have an agreement. So that still needs to be understood by staff where that fits into the puzzle. We don't want it to be a situation where we have a site plan agreement and site plan approval, and only part of that access gets constructed. So we'll need to work on that a little bit further to understand how that would work. Remember now, I gave you an opportunity to look at the previous plan, and now I've asked if we could go back to it for one more time. You'll see on this plan, one of the discussion points was that there's a central access point through the middle of the plan that went up to the internal driveway, and our conversation at that point was, we're concerned because the commercial may not get developed, that access point may never get developed. Well, now that the current proposal has no connection up through that section. So we've reduced the number of connection points to Saxton Road and this one to the left-hand side. So those are some of the sort of major player parts that we're dealing with here. There are a number of different items that need to be adjusted on the zoning. I can say that through the revisions that are proposed, the number of parking spaces is no longer on the list of issues that need to be addressed. And there were also some adjustments to a couple of other standards as well. But just to speak now on some of the items, the consultation, just to go back, I guess, a little bit. There was an open house that was held in May. That was for the original proposal. The statutory meeting on August 6th that we talked about, there were comments that were received through that process. The comments that are listed there are just bullet points of what's already in the staff report. And I won't go through all of those because they're in the staff report, but just quickly say that there were a few technical issues that still need refining in terms of capacity and ability to provide stormwater management, because there's a lot of infiltration that's being proposed, and how we would deal with water capacity. Just additional information is necessary before bringing back a zoning bylaw, an official plan evaluation report. There were other items specifically relating to the existing agreement. This is part of a larger puzzle, a larger plaza, sorry, puzzle possibly as well. I guess we could look at it that way, with a number of different tenants and owners. And our concern in some parts is that council would be making a decision, and then that decision would be then thrust upon those tenants that may or may not be supportive of the application. The notice for public meeting is extended to those within 120 meters. That does not reach the plaza known as the LCBO, that has the LCBO, that portion of the property. It also doesn't reach the Canadian Tire. So there is some parts of this that we do want to make sure that the agreements that are held amongst the whole group are handled properly and that this piece is addressed. They've started to do that, but we're not all the way there. There's also going to need to be mitigation measures to how it's dealt with along Twin Elms. We need to find out some more on that. That's something that we'll work on over time, and some of those details will be addressed through site plan and will continue. But that's another piece. It's incumbent of me to mention it because during the previous public meeting, that was a concern of some of the neighbors. And so while there is a change, the buildings are a distance away now, further distance away, we will still want to make sure that we're managing that properly. And that would include things like the parked cars that are being proposed, the headlights, potentially on and off of cars. So we'll want to make sure that that's managed correctly during the site plan process. The last two parts are more on the policy side. I won't go into significant detail, but this is a proposal to redesignate the lands from commercial to residential, meaning commercial would be off the table for these parcels of land going forward. They are part of a larger planned commercial node, and so we have to be cognizant of how that will play out to the larger picture. The second piece is that right around the same time as this application, the revised submission was provided in October. The PPS 2024 came into effect, and it speaks to the municipality projecting their population based on the Ministry of Finance numbers. So this application is moving forward with the idea that there is a surplus of commercial lands within the Strathroy-Caradoc municipality to the tune of approximately 16 hectares. That is based on the numbers in 2022. There has been lands that have already been redesignated from commercial to residential in other parts of Strathroy, which is fine, so we can bring that number down slightly as a result of that. But the other part of it is that now, as of today, we are to be looking at a population increase that's greater than what was proposed in 2022, meaning there's going to be a greater demand for commercial going forward in the next 25, 30 years. And that's the horizon that we should be looking at if we're doing the PPS, following the PPS. So there does need to be some additional information provided to justify that change. So what I'm trying to say, just to try to put it in slightly different terms, population is going to be greater than what was assumed back in 2022, which means that demand on commercial will also be greater than what was assumed in 2022. And so that surplus, while it was 16, there may still be surplus. It's just we want to make sure that that's confirmed before moving this forward with an evaluation report back to you. So, I've talked a lot. So, and there's a lot of other information in the report, but I think this gets us to the point where you understand we've got an official plan amendment that's redesignating. There's a zoning bylaw amendment on the table with some development standards that need to be adjusted. The proposal is for only residential, and I'm happy to answer any questions moving forward, but we'll just end with, we don't normally have two public meetings for a project, but because the site changed in terms of its size, it was required to have a second public meeting. That's the main reason for it. There are differences, and so I'm telling you what those differences are to the building as well, but critically the reason is that the actual subject site has changed in its size, so a public meeting is required for a second time. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Tim. Any comments in support of the proposed rezoning? Could you identify yourself first for us? Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Jamie Robertson with Strathroy-Caradoc and Limones, SBM out of London, and I'm the agent on the file. And nice to see your faces again after seeing you in August for our first previous meeting. I'd like to first thank staff and through your worship, thank staff for their work on this. We are constantly in contact and we're all working together. It's been quite a good process, and we're constantly in communications looking to resolve all the issues and the items that Tim has brought up today. I'm not going to go over too much of a rehash of kind of the development. Mr. Williams has done an excellent job on that for me. I do want to reiterate, as he said, we're now increasing the size of the site from the 1.8 hectares to 3.1. This was about the comments that we had before, where we looked at trying to change the site, trying to get the buildings further away, because we do understand that the original 6-meter setback wasn't ideal. In trying to keep it on the smaller portion of the site, we've ran through a couple options and ultimately kind of identified that that site wasn't necessarily the best in its current situation. So we looked at trying to provide a better alternative, which unfortunately then meant using the entire site and increasing the overall area that we were going to use. But this does put the apartment buildings now approximately 72 meters away from the Twin Elms property line, and the townhouse units are an additional 18.5 meters or 18.5 meters away, again from that same property line, very much causing a larger setback than what was initially proposed. With some of the comments for the staff report looking at the commercial use designation over residential, we do understand the new provincial policy planning statement looking at updated numbers, and we do understand, there could be the need that the surplus commercial lands would be less than the 16. Under the current situation, with another approximately 3 hectares of land, there would still be a 10-hectare difference. Ours and the other 3 would make 6. So that surplus would still be at about 10. We would also iterate that with the population increase that's projected, there's also a deficit for residential. There's a need for residential land, and that would also go up with the same kind of numbers and statistics. As you have more population coming in, you will need to put them somewhere, and it's already identified as a residential need, which is why the previous reports did suggest that there be some form of policy for changing and converting commercial lands that were surplus into residential. So we would need to hash those numbers out, and that's certainly understood. But we would like to look at, right now, Strathroy is looking at expanding settlement areas for residential. I don't know that that would change right now, and using existing settlement area should still be a preferred method for providing residential first before expanding the settlement area. Reduces costs on the servicing end and a lot of those pains and processes. The other bit that I would like to briefly go over, on the left-hand side, the second access, as Mr. Williams pointed out, is partially on the neighboring property. I did want to reiterate there are existing easements already in place. So the easements portion doesn't have to get worked out right now. It is within an existing easement. There would need to be the agreements and sorting out physically building that portion and payments and who was going to be required to cover that particular work. But the easements are currently in place, and that is an existing portion where a 2-way road is allowed to be based on current legal standing. The last portion that I wanted to specifically discuss in regards to why this site, because it is, as Mr. Williams mentioned, planned to be a larger commercial node. I'd like to kind of point out that when you look at the current designations of land use in Strathroy, that commercial node around the Adelaide-Carroll Street intersection is currently larger than the downtown core. So there are a lot of areas currently designated for commercial, and what we generally see with those large commercial nodes is the dependency for vehicles, which we know is kind of an issue with Strathroy not having any other transportation at the moment. Which is understandable. It's still growing, it's still sorting itself out. But if we keep these large commercial nodes, we continue to progress that thought of vehicle dependency. And we'd like to look at this particular site, bringing in this total of 220 residential units, is directly adjacent to an existing grocery store. It's a very unique opportunity, it's a very unique situation where you're going to directly bring people that can immediately walk to very convenient resources like everyday groceries, obviously other essentials, and there are other existing commercial opportunities nearby within that kind of 5-minute walk that all kind of support various uses that residents would be looking for and gets a little bit of that car dependency lessened. Again, we have parking that is required for the entire site for visitor and residential parking. So we do have the vehicles, but any opportunity that we can provide people to not have to use them, we think is a very specific and unique opportunity and what makes this particular property better than moving it a kilometer down the road and saying, yes, there's no commercial land there, but you need to get your vehicle even though you don't have to redesignate land. So I'd just like that to be thought of and considered, as that would be the primary of our justification, looking at it's such a unique opportunity to ensure and kind of move forward towards a less vehicle dependent development in the community. So thank you very much for your time, and I will also be available to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you for that. Are there any comments in opposition of the proposed rezoning? Yes, yep, feel free to go to the, and I'm just gonna do something real quick.
Hi, I'm Keith McLeod. I live at Twin Elms Estates. I guess I have a couple of questions. First of all, you're reducing your commercial space by putting housing or changing it to residential in this area. There's a plot of land directly east of Saxon Road. I think it's A1 is what you call it, the field that's opposite Saxon Road. I don't know what that's designated for, but why can you not utilize that area instead of behind our location and creating problems between the housing that you're proposing and our location? We also would like to see a wall put up if this proceeds because of the access through that field or trees that you're thinking of planning to put in there. Also, your proposed new site, the storm sewer, to me, by the looks of it, goes right underneath those new apartment buildings, which would cause some problems, I would think. And also increasing the number of stories to the building has gone up, which is not what we were asking for back in August. We were looking for a reduction in the number of levels within that location. The distance between our lot line, so to speak, and the new proposed site is very minimal by the looks of what the report is saying here. Not sure why you want to keep it so close, but if a wall is put up, I guess you wouldn't be so bad. We also want to know if these are rental buildings that are going in these townhouses, or are they for purchase? And also, the apartments themselves, are they to be rented to anyone, or are they purchased items, which was indicated last time that they were to be bought? I think that's all. Yeah, that's all I have right now. One more thing is when will the traffic and noise study be done so that we know what's going on there? Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments, questions from members of council? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Your Worship. Looking at the new site plan, I think this is a good use of the area. I think putting, certainly we need more housing and we need different types of housing, such as what's being proposed here. We speak about that a lot. This current development in its current format being all commercial, and I remember this initially being developed probably 25 years ago. Some of the assumptions that were used at that time just never came to fruition, and that plaza and those lands have sat empty and have really been an eyesore. Trying to keep it clean and maintained. So I think anything we can do to try to bring development to these lands, since it's already a pre-existing development, is beneficial to the community. And I think putting residential directly in this area does keep people from having to get in their vehicles and driving to get groceries, etc. So I think it's a good use. I hear what the residents are saying, and I think those can be dealt with usually within the site plan process. Of course, we haven't heard about that this evening. That'll be, I guess, discussions that'll be brought forth at another time, as Mr. Williams has said.
Councillor Pelkman, I believe he is, and Councillor Cass.
Yes, thank you. You know, in a perfect world, you always want to go from commercial to a mixed residential to single family, rather than have the single family directly up against the commercial. And I think this accommodates that very nicely. You've got the high density, then the medium density, and then the Twin Elms. You know, in terms of what's going to be in their backyards, something is going to be in their backyard someday. And if I had the choice, I would rather have residential than the receiving area of a large and busy store, which could have trucks coming in 24 hours a day. I think that you know, it won't be that difficult to block the headlights from shining into the backs of their houses. You know, even a 4-foot berm would, with some vegetation on top, would resolve that. What I really like about this is that when Strathroy Crossings was started, you know, the big box era of stores was in. That era has ended, and the demand to have those large stores is a lot less with the online shopping and Amazon taking such a large chunk of market share from traditional stores. So you know, we still have beyond the Strathroy Crossings property lands identified as commercial across on the other side of Highway 81. So I think we have lots of commercial still, and maybe putting a huge chunk of people directly in there means that some of the other property owners in there who have not yet decided to build might start to do so because the demand is right on their doorstep. Most of the issues that were raised, like the shared driveway, I see as a bonus, because even as commercial nodes, they would have had to have some kind of access across from one to the other. And I think that allowing the traffic to flow like that is a good idea. So I'm fully supportive of this project. I like the concept, the way that it's drawn. They listened to a lot of the concerns about moving the apartment buildings away from the Twin Elms property. So I think this is a much better proposal than what we had the first time.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Canis.
Not opposed to the project. I guess a couple of questions. When we first talked about this in August, we were talking 7 stories, and I think the comment at the time from Mr. Williams was that our regulations on such things are a height, like how many feet we can go or meters we can go up. So certainly adding more stories adds more height to the building. So I just wondered how, I guess, do we have to deal with that in the future moving forward? And how does that work? I guess is that just is that us changing the zoning or whatever we need to do to allow for such a thing to occur. The second thing is, I guess those internal streets, it's certainly going to bring a lot more traffic to that whole plaza, and a lot of those internal streets, and I think in particular, you know, in that liquor store plaza in between Walmart and that plaza, those aren't real high quality streets that are built. I don't think they're built to the standard we would build a municipal road, and I guess my concern there is that if you continue to add more traffic to those roads without them being built to a higher standard, I guess what can we do about that, or can anything be done about that if we have concerns about the quality of those internal roads?
Okay. Councillor Brennan, was your hand up there, Councillor Derbyshire?
I'm good, yeah.
There was Councillor Brennan and Councillor Derbyshire.
Yeah, I guess my question will be through the mayor to Mr. Ortiz. And I guess my concern when I take a look at something like this and we see the switch over from basically one type of land use to another type of land use, from, you know, basically, you know, getting into a high density residential. And I'm just wondering, in terms of our existing infrastructure, our pipes, our wastewater, our stormwater, the water being supplied to the site, potable water, are there any concerns here about, are we going to have to expand our existing infrastructure in this area to accommodate this project, or are we okay as it stands right now?
Yeah. Director Ortiz.
Through the chair to council. The additional work would have to be done by the proponent to confirm servicing capacity on specifically on the water main and the sewer sizing. Overall, I don't suspect that there'd be any issue from a treatment capacity standpoint, but I imagine future submissions from the proponent would address these details. There were some issues noted on storm as well in the report, which I think the proponent still needs to address as well in future submission.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Thank you. I'm gonna say through you to either Director Ortiz or maybe Mr. Williams. I did have a concern about the new drain we just put through. I do believe it, I think, I could be wrong, it didn't go down the driveway. I think it did go in the top half of this property, did it not? Which, when looking at their proposal now, it appears to me that it goes right up to that existing road, which would put those buildings, I think, directly over top of it. I could be wrong, but that's what it looks like.
Through the, I don't know. Okay, you said go ahead, so I'm.
Yeah, go ahead.
The answer is it's very close, and so some of those numbers do need to be reviewed with the ownership. They've provided some details as their setbacks, but we're needing to make sure it's close. You're correct.
Yeah, because we're not going to allow them to build on top of it, right? Just so we're clear.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. And just thanks, Councillor, because that was the one question the gentleman, the citizen had. There was another one, the traffic and noise study. Will that be done as part of the site plan, or has that been done already?
So a traffic and noise study was done through a technical issue. None of the appendices were attached to the report that was forwarded for review. We've fixed that problem, so we'll have that peer-reviewed report available and the answers associated with that during the evaluation report.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, motion to... Oh, sorry, Councillor Canis.
I wondered on the questions I had about the internal roads, like what kind of control we have, if get any comment on that, and the height.
Through the mayor, the height one's a little bit easier, so I'll start there. The zoning bylaw amendment adjusts the development standards. One of those development standards in the zoning bylaw currently says a maximum of 15 meters for buildings. The proposal at this point is 34 meters to the maximum height, so that would be a deviation from the zoning bylaw. We put that into the zoning bylaw amendment if council felt that was appropriate. That's one. And then two, the driveways are managed through site plan approval. So during that process, they're signing an agreement saying that they will maintain the roads as per, and then there's standards that are included there. Sometimes we get into a situation like what we're dealing with there, where the owner of this property, the subject lands now, also owns those 2 parcels on surrounding the LCBO, and so they have lands but no actual buildings at the moment, and so some of the driveways run across their lands, and so maintenance of those roads sometimes follows on those that are in the subdivision right now. We don't have a site plan agreement for those connecting roads because those are roads that there's no development that goes along with them. They're just connecting 2 different development areas. So it is a little bit tricky because technically the road isn't a part of a site plan at the moment. So there is that piece that falls a little bit off. Bylaw enforcement has been out to the owners of the different parcels and had discussions with them to try to help move along some improvements on some of those sections, especially where they get into the heavy potholes. I will say that the owner of the plaza for the LCBO, it's not actually owned by LCBO, they're the tenant. That ownership has changed over the last year, and so that also has created a little bit of challenges for staff to reach out to the person and see how we can get things resolved. But that's kind of going outside of this particular project, but definitely relevant when we're talking about how the overall infrastructure is supposed to work. Ideally, we would have site plan approved agreements for each of the different parcels, and then they would look a lot like what the Canadian Tire looks like on their own site, and the Walmart looks like on their own site, with curbs and asphalt and that all being finished. Where there's those parts where we're connecting in between and pieces are not necessarily finished off, the curbing hasn't happened yet, and then we find cars kind of traveling a little bit off the road, and then you get potholes, and it just becomes a little bit worse. So, end of the story is we'd love it to be all finished off, and then those pieces would not be out there for us to hit potholes.
You had one more, Councilor Derbyshire.
Sorry, I just wanted clarification that tonight we are just receiving this for information, correct?
That is
We're not
correct.
changing anything or doing anything.
Just received
Okay.
it. Yeah, sorry, I'll let you speak. Go ahead. Don't normally, but you got your hand up, so I'll let you speak.
Sorry, you didn't ask after he was done. My name
Oh,
is Karen
I'm sorry.
Samard.
That is on me then. I do apologize.
Yeah, my name's Karen Samard. I live behind there in Twin Elms too. We just moved here recently. I just want to talk about a couple things. The reason we moved to Strathroy is because we want the small town feel. We don't want to live in an urban area. That's what one of the things they talked about in this proposal. I don't agree with like 8-story buildings. I really don't think that Strathroy wants that. You know, I'm okay with, you know, if there's going to be townhouses, but I don't think, if you look at the map, if we go back to the map, I'm not sure that they've even proposed, how do you get from that complex to Walmart? Like, is there sidewalks? Like, who's responsible for that? You know, I want to know these kind of answers, you know, and also along Saxton, it shows that it's pretty close to the lot lines. Like, everything that's proposed that I saw on this diagram is basically going against all your bylaws. So I don't understand why this is being allowed, but along Saxton, it's basically right on the sidewalk. So what if Saxton ever has to be expanded and widened? Is that going to be allowed? What about the schools? In the proposal, I read that they're saying that the building is proposed to be marketed to seniors and mature families. I don't know about you, but a lot of people, what is a mature family? You know, like, what about schools? You know, like, where are these people gonna, you know, play? Like, this little park that they're proposing, what about the dogs, you know? And like, okay, if they have a grocery store, but what if I wanna come here down to town hall? How am I supposed to get to town hall? You know, like, you're not, like, these people are, I guess, are not really thinking about the grand scheme of things. Like, this is still a small town, and I'm not sure at what point, you know, you guys are gonna have public transportation. So, you know, if you guys could just look at all that, you know, and try to understand that, you know, it's fine that they wanna make more residential, and nobody, I don't think, really is opposed to residential. It's just how many people are they gonna be putting there, and can it accommodate all of the traffic flow and all the people, and, you know, all the sidewalks, and where are these people gonna play, and, you know, have fun, and, you know, enjoy their life. Thank you.
Yeah, and I do apologize for missing you. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think we've got everybody. Motion to close the public meeting. Councillor Derbyshire, second by Councillor Falkman. All in favor, carried. Motion to receive the reports for information. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor, carried. There are 3 minutes in front of you this evening to be approved. The council meeting of December 16th, special meeting of January 13th, and the Finance Committee meeting of January 13th. Motion to accept the minutes. Councillor Kennis, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor, carried. There are 2 communications in front of you. I'm going to ask, does anybody want to ask a question about either one of those? Okay. Then a motion to receive those 2 reports. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor, carried. There are 2 notice of motions in front of you. They're not to be voted on this evening. Next is legal and legislative affairs, fire protection grant agreement. Motion to receive the report first. Councillor Caddis, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor, carried. Did you wish to speak to this, Brianna?
Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair to members, I'm very pleased to report that just before Christmas, the Office of the Fire Marshal announced that the municipality was approved for a fire protection grant in the amount of $24,691.35. And this would go toward the already approved purchase of a second set of bunker gear for all fire personnel. And I believe we're working toward quotes for the installation of personal showers and ventilation and the purchase of 4 Station Protect air purifiers. We're before council this evening because we're requesting your authorization to enter into an agreement to receive the funding.
Are there any questions? Councillor Kennis.
No strings attached to the money other than they're to be used for the projects we talked about.
Correct.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, motion that we authorize the execution of the Ontario Transfer Payment Grant and authorizing the bylaw before the consideration of bylaws section. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor.
No, I'm just making the motion.
Oh, you're making the motion,
If you would
okay. I'm
accept
very
it.
conscious. Councillor Brennan, second. All in favor? Carried. Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corp. Council member appointees. Motion to receive the report first. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? Carried. Did you wish to speak to this one, Brianna?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Through the Chair to members, before you is a report indicating that Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Corporation is seeking members. At this point, the Board of Directors for the Housing Corp is below quorum and therefore is unable to meet in order to reestablish itself. The recommendation we've received from legal is that we begin with our own council appointees, which should bring the board back up to quorum and would allow them to advance their objectives and reestablish themselves. So this evening we're just looking for a councillor appointment of either 1 or 2 members to the Housing Corp, and we would prepare the bylaw accordingly for a future council meeting.
Okay. Any questions, comments, or better yet, volunteers from council to be on the Board of Caradoc Housing? Councillor Peltman.
So I would prefer that we appoint 2 more people so that if somebody couldn't make a meeting, but I do have a fair amount experience in managing an apartment building, and with the leases and stuff that are required. So in order to get ourselves back on our feet, I would be willing to let my name stand.
You had us said hello, Councillor Pelkman. Any other one wish to volunteer? Okay, seeing that, thank you. And this is important. I'm sorry, Deb.
I'm already on it, but Councillor Kennis, would you be interested if I nominated you for it?
Well, sorry, Attorney. I will do it. I mean, I prefer to see a councillor from Ward 2 be a part of it, but if there's no volunteers from Ward 2, then I will
Just jump in anytime.
Sure, okay, thank you, Chair. Sorry to clarify, Councillor Kennis, so if there are 2 members appointed from council, it is in the board's bylaws that one should be representative of Strathroy's interests, Ward 1, and another should be representative of Ward 2 interests.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Sure, I'll throw my hat in.
You had us said hello to Councillor.
I'll make a motion then that Councillor Derbyshire and Councillor Pelkman be appointed to the Strathroy-Caradoc Housing Court.
Thank you. You seconded that. All in favor of the nominations? Carried. Thank you.
Can we appoint people that aren't here?
Sandy told me she didn't want to.
Okay, the second is the staff prepare the amendment to municipalities appointment bylaw for a future council meeting. So I'm going to bring that motion. Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councilor Kaufman. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Financial Services, the Section 357 application. Motion to receive the report first. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Director Dakin, you wish to speak to the report.
Thank you. Through the chair to council, so usually I say at this time this is housekeeping, and it is, but this one's a little different twist. This is the municipality is putting this forward. This, if you recall, this is the home on Adelaide Road that was demolished because it was unsafe on the edge of the berm or the bank. So being it demolished, there's no longer a house on that property, so we're asking that the assessment get dropped to just the land only, and that is what's before you. So the effect of that would be a refund of $464.37 for 2024, and obviously the new assessment would be part of the 25 assessment.
Any questions? Councilor Derbyshire.
I did, I don't know how much we can speak about this in open. I don't know what's allowed being where it is. I don't know if there is money owed to the municipality on this, and whether that should just go towards that. My other question would be, with this piece of property, I realize the reassessment is 105, but it is absolutely, at this point, not a building lot. There's no real use for the landowner. Even $105,000, and we're gonna keep adding taxes to it. I don't know if it makes sense in this situation for this piece of dirt to kind of keep incurring that kind of cost without some sort of agreement or something. And you know, we're gonna keep taxing them, and they're done. It's just a piece of dirt that they can't build on. So I don't know what.
Director Dakin.
So through the chair to Council Derbyshire, you are correct. We would apply the discount or the refund to outstanding. But I think to your point, the alternative would, because they haven't come forward, would be carrying on at the $207,000 and doing what you've suggested. So this is reducing, in essence, their liability and our receivable substantially as we move forward until this is resolved. We thought this was the best course at this stage.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, then the motion to approve the credit. Councillor Pelkman, second by Councillor Brennan. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. The interim tax levy. Motion to receive the report. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Derbyshire. All in favor? Carried. Speak to the interim tax.
Through the chair to council, so this is just a standard housekeeping every year until we get our final tax bylaw in place after the budget's passed. We come before council looking for the interim tax bylaw, which basically equates to charging 50% based on last year's assessment. And so that's what we have before you, and that's through the standard to the municipal act.
Any questions of the director? Seeing none, the motion's in front of you that the 2025 interim tax levy be no more than 50% of the total taxes for municipal and school board purposes levied for 2024, and further bylaw number 01-25 authorizing the 2025 interim tax levy be forwarded to the consideration of bylaws section of the agenda for approval. Someone make a motion. Councillor Pelkman, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Next is the 2025 budget deliberations. Motion to receive the report. Councillor Brennan, second by Councillor Caddis. All in favor? Carried. We speak to this one, Director Dakin.
Through the chair to council, so this is a good news and I guess gooder news story. So in our excitement in getting through our finance committee meeting last time, this actual motion was missing or not approved at that point. So we've come back to council to have them approve that first that the finance committee meetings for the January 27th, 10th, and the 24th be canceled. And then second of all, that that we prepare the budget based on the 24 million taxation levy, which is 5.6% increase. And it also then equates out to the 4.5 tax rate increase for 24, and that we would bring forward that budget for council approval on the February 3rd meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Director. You're very kind. It's okay to say that the mayor skipped over the recommendation in his haste to, but I want to point out to council and everybody that we're just bringing it forward for approval. We're not actually approving the budget this evening. So, are there any questions of the director? Yeah, go ahead, Councilor Derbyshire.
I just wondered if, I know it's a little off topic, but it's part of it. Does anyone know what the county is thinking on their tax rate?
They're still, Councilor, a long ways away. I'm going to attend the meeting this Friday. They've asked their staff to come back with 3 different scenarios, so they're a ways away, Councilor.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So go ahead, Councilor Brennan.
Will we know the answer to Councillor Derbyshire's question by the night of February the 3rd? Is there a possibility we might have the county number then?
May have an indication of where they're at, but I doubt you will have it because that's be approved by council. So I do know that county staff are coming back with 3 different scenarios. Whether or not they accept one of those, I don't know, but it will not be approved till after. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just gonna add, I think it's, as much as it would be nice to know, we have to stay focused on the business of Strathroy-Caradoc, and this is a very reasonable tax increase given the rates of inflation we've had over the last 2 to 3 years. And I think if we tried to do anything less than this, we would be shooting ourselves in the foot.
Okay, so I'm going to read the motions to you. 3 motions, I think we can do them all at once. The scheduled finance committee meeting dates of January 27th, February 10th, February 24th be canceled, and further that the proposed 2025 municipal budget, inclusive of changes recommended at the January 13th Finance Committee, meeting requiring a $24,427,860 taxation levy, which is a 5.6% tax levy increase over 2024, equating to a 4.5 tax rate increase over 2024, be brought forward for approval by law at the February 3rd, 2025 council meeting. Someone to bring that motion. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? Carried. Building and planning the community improvement plan applications. Motion to receive the report. Councillor Brennan, second by the Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. Who is going to speak? Director Dakin.
I guess once you get on the hot seat, you gotta stay on it for a bit.
It's not that hot.
You're right. Through the chair to council, so this is a community improvement plan application that was brought to the committee. What we're proposing here tonight is covering off the work that is left to be completed. So the applicant had started into the project and then made the application. So there's approximately half of the project that's still yet to be completed. And the committee has recommended that we just provide the grant towards the completion of what needs to be completed, and the work that was done prior to the application be excluded from the application. So you can see the numbers there, that the maximum amount that would be presented to this applicant would be the $777,56. And just to note that there is approximately around 1.3 million in that project fund. Keeping in mind our conversations at the Finance Committee, where there are a number of projects coming forward, where some larger items are coming forward. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions of Director Dakin? Councilor Brennan.
Seeing as we're only using about 1.25% of what's in the CIP, is there any danger of losing those funds in the short term if we don't use them promptly, or are those secure for the long term?
Director Dakin.
Through the chair to Councillor Brennan, so those funds are set aside by the municipality in a reserve fund and are there to be utilized. What we've done within the committee is, yes, there's the 1.3 that is sitting there. We have allocated, as applications come in, put placeholders in place so that we're not over allocating funds.
Any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, there are two motions that we approve the application for funding and that this be referred to the consideration of bylaws section. Councillor Kennis, second by Councillor Pelkman. All in favor? Carried. Community Services, the Bleacher Tender Award. Motion to receive the report. Councillor Bryan, second by Councillor Kennis. All in favor? Carried. Director Lilborn, the floor is yours.
Through the chair to council, the report in front of you this evening is just a request to approve a tender to W.H. Reynolds of Cambridge for the Bleacher Tender Award for the Jays Care Foundation renovation that we've done out at the Bantam Diamond at Yorkview Community Park. The value of the tender was $28,301.91. The budgeted amount was $40,137.60, so well under budget. We did only have one submission though. So I'm available for any questions.
Any questions of the director? Councilor Brennan.
Through the mayor to the director, approximately this is seating for how many baseball fans, this bleacher replacement? Is it equivalent to what we had now, or is it more?
Can you do the wave?
It's significantly more because we didn't have bleachers before, and these bleachers are fully AODA compliant.
Any other questions? Seeing none, then the motion is to approve the awarding of the tender to Bleacher to W.H. Reynolds of Cambridge, Ontario for the value of $28,301.91. Councilor Canis, second by Councilor Derbyshire. All in favor? Carried. Engineering and Public Works, Waste Transfer Station Operations Tender Award. Motion to receive the report. Councilor Canis, second by Councilor Pelkman. All in favor? Carried. Director Ortiz.
Thank you. Through the chair to council, in front of you is a report to award the operations of the waste transfer facilities in Strathroy and Mount Bridges. We're recommending to award to the low bidder Sarnia Paving Stone for a value of $998,308. We had a public tender, and they were the lowest bidder of the three that we received. And I am happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Any questions of Councilor Derbyshire, then the Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. I was just going to ask some, on behalf of Councilor Wilsey. He brought it to my attention that last time we spoke about the waste transfer stations, they were going to extend some hours in Mount Bridges in the fall for leaf collection, or we're hoping to extend hours in the fall for leaf collection. I didn't know if that was in the extended time that was talked about, whether any of that was in there in this new contract.
Director Ortiz.
Through the chair to Councilor Derbyshire, we've maintained the level of service that we currently have in Mount Bridges. The current contract that's proposed here, it's based on a estimated level of service, estimated days open. That can be modified. We have unit pricing for those days, so it would be pretty straightforward addition if that's something that we would like to investigate.
Deputy Mayor first, then Councilor Pelkman.
I have a couple of questions on this report, Your Worship. So through you to Director Ortiz. So I see three companies, and the one you're suggesting is Sarnia Paving Stone. So the name of the company, and I'm not familiar with any of these three, seems to suggest that they're a paving stone company. Are they actually able to carry out the business of waste? Do they do it elsewhere? Are we the only, would we be their first venture into doing waste management? Stuff like that. Do they have the trucks necessary to pick up and deliver and move bins? Do they have those bins? Are you able to enlighten me on any of that, please?
And I echoed those sentiments. That would have been my questions. Director Ortiz.
Thank you. Through the chair to council. We have looked at the company. They do have experience in similar work. We think that they have the ability to take on this project, this operating assignment. They do have the committed resources and equipment to do that. Their name does suggest that they have expertise in paving, but for this contract, we're pretty confident that they're able to do what they need to do under this contract.
Yep, follow up, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up then on what Councillor Derbyshire is asking in regards to Councillor Wilsey. So does the contract give exclusive rights to this company for leaves? So essentially, if the citizens of the community, either in Strathroy or Mount Bridges, you know, I've been hearing, I understand Councillor Wilsey has also, that our citizens are taking leaves to another municipality to get rid of in the fall because we're not providing enough opportunity. So I have an issue with that, and I think we need to be doing better for our citizens, but I mean, they're just bringing it forward now. I'm not being critical. So if we wanted to do that with this contract in place, must that be done through Sarnia Paving Stone, or the collection of leaves, can it be done on a different, like, for instance, through our own staff? Because it's just dumping of leaves. I'm sure they're being processed on site, are they not?
Director Ortiz.
Through the chair to Councilor McGuire, The main thing is opening hours and staffing. So that's really what we're talking about. So having starting Pavingstone representatives on site and enabling access would be sufficient. It would be a pretty easy change to a contract of this nature to provide additional time in bridges. And the cost would not be a massive cost to the contract.
So I'm just looking for clarity.
Yep.
So then, by the contract, it would have to be facilitated by employees of Sarnia Pavingstone. We would have to go to them and say, we want an additional 2 days a week for 6 weeks. Essentially, we're looking at like mid-October through November, when the leaves are coming down the most. But we would have to go back to that company to have them open the site. We can't open it ourselves strictly to collect leaves only.
Through the chair, I'm not sure if there's anything that precludes us from operating the leaf collection. I'd suggest if we have an operating agreement in place with Sarnia Pavingstone, it would probably make sense to continue with Sarnia Pavingstone to have them operate the facility an extra day or two a month, if that was the wish of council.
I think what the deputy mayor was trying to, do they have territorial rights on the transfer station? Excuse me. That's what essentially what you're looking for, right, Deputy Mayor?
We own the transfer station. I don't think there's anything in the contract that would preclude us from operating strictly the leaf collection. They're more focused on the waste.
So that's what I'm trying to get to, is this is a contract for the collection and movement off-site of waste, right? Where leaves and sticks and brush are primarily being dealt with on-site. They're being composted, they're being ground, they roll them around, and then we throw it out and generally say to the public, here you go, you can pull from the big pile of compost that we've made, probably stewing out there right now as we speak. So I'm just wondering if we chose to undertake opening the gates solely for the purposes of collecting leaves and sticks and brush, not transferable waste, would we be allowed to do that? It may be that we would hire them to do it, but it may be cheaper for us just to open it up, use somebody else, like our own people or part-time people or whatever. I have no idea. I just want to make sure it's available to us to do it, because I think it's a conversation I want to bring forth in the future. And are we territorial rights? Would we have to go to them, or are there opportunities? And if we don't know, that's fine.
I'd like to look at the contract, but I don't think there'd be anything that would preclude us from operating our own site. So no, if we wanted to, we could have our own staff operate it, and there'd be minimal cost to do so. It would just be the hours, having the body, providing access to the location.
Thank you. That ends my concerns.
Did you have a question, Councilor?
It's along the same vein. I just wanted to ensure there's a mechanism in place to do that. I'm fine with signing the contract with the same level of service, providing that we can change it, because a lot of it's weather dependent. I had more complaints in 2023 than I did in 2024 about the length of the lineups waiting to get into the Strathroy transfer station. But this season the leaves fell in a longer period of time than the previous year. The previous year, kind of like a cold snap, and they all fell off at once. And so everybody head to the transfer station at the same time. So I think as we add significant more homes, we will probably have to look at the leaf collection and is there another way to do it to allow people a day other than the Wednesday and the Saturday to get rid of their leaves.
Any other? Councilor Derbyshire.
Just, sorry, one more question through you to, I believe, the director. The second ranking company, are they not the company that's providing the service now?
Yes.
Okay. Just, when we look at that, I realize that, you know, the lowest number is normally generally where we head to. I just look at, obviously they've had some experience dealing with this in our area. You know, maybe there's a reason that they've priced themselves like that. You know, are they doing a good job, and have they done a good job? I guess that's kind of where I would get to. Not that I want to spend much more money, it does kind of scare me to venture off into a different direction with, you know, somebody that maybe isn't proven in this industry for doing this. I'm not downplaying anybody and their abilities, you know, but it does worry me a little bit in the way that the difference in the quote, and I realize the other one is way out there too, but these are the guys that have been doing it, so.
Any comment, I think, Director Ortiz?
Yeah, through the chair, I think I've kind of mentioned that earlier. We're pretty confident in their, at least their bid and their experience to date. There could always be challenges with any contractor on any program. Given the cost difference, I think we do have a fair bit of I'd say, buffer here to if things do happen. An additional over $670,000 would be the cost to go with the second lowest.
Thank you. Councillor Pelican, you had a follow-up.
Yeah, no, this is just purely a comment. You know, the people who have worked the site are obviously not our employees, they're a third-party employee. And they've got to have pretty thick skin because they put up with a lot of guff from people. And so I would really hope that they get carried over to the new employer, but if they don't, I would really like to thank them for their service, because they do represent us even though they are not our employees. And so that's something that's important to keep in mind. If they switch people, we'll have to make sure that you know, decent customer service is still at top mind.
Okay, with that being said, motion to approve the awarding of the tender to Sarnia Paving Stone. Councillor Canis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Opposed to that? There are 5 reports from boards and committees. Motion to approve them all at once, or were there any concerns with any of them?
I just want to speak to 10.4, please, if you could pull it out.
1.4? Yep.
10.4, Tri-Township Arena.
Any others? Okay, then motion to approve the other 4. Councillor Brennan, second by Deputy Mayor, all in favor, carried. Deputy Mayor, 10.4.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. I just want to bring to attention that that board, I sit on it, has a vacancy for a director that has recently tendered their resignation. And having sat on that board and currently sitting there, we're looking for direction as, is council going to refill that through the striking committee? Or will that be referred back to the TTA board to fill internally? Or does council want a recommendation from TTA board? So just how do you want the board to deal with it, as opposed to just letting it sit?
Okay, and I'm going to defer to the clerk who does this normally get filled through the striking committee?
Yes, through the charter members, so it has traditionally been filled through the striking committee, but I would like an opportunity to review their establishing bylaw to make sure that we're still operating in compliance with their appointees. So, but I will say that the arena manager has notified the municipality of the resignation, so I do believe it would be appropriate for striking committee or for the municipality to conduct recruitment and then bring it back to striking committee.
So can I ask then, has that process started?
No, so we were notified shortly before Christmas, so we will be rolling out a recruitment after I take a review of the bylaw and just ensure that we're still on the right track. Then we would hope to roll that out over the next 2 weeks.
Okay, thank you. Thank you then. Then, so we need a motion to receive the minutes from December 12th, the Tri-Township. Deputy Mayor, second by Councillor Canis, all in favor, carried. Deputy Mayor, the County Council report.
Thank you. Since I rarely speak to this, maybe I will this evening real quick. We had a report from Director Chris Trainey. So Director Trainey is our Director of Engineering. So just to update the Glendon Drive, Melbourne Road lights have been delayed a little bit. That's because we had a relatively early winter. And they have to get hydro and cement abutments in the ground, but that is coming, hopefully for a start as soon as the weather clears up. So that's Glendon Drive at Melbourne Road. They are continuing to look at the Melbourne Road and Longwoods right in the village of Melbourne. There are some sightline issues with the buildings currently on those four corners, particularly the old bank. So they're working through, Chris and his team are working through the engineering challenges with that to see what can occur there. The roundabout on, it's not in our community, but certainly everybody in this community probably drives it. Glendon Drive in the Kilworth area, the first roundabout you would come to as you're heading in. The next one up the road at, not Glendon Drive, comes down towards the racetrack. Where?
Gideon.
Gideon, thank you. I wasn't getting that. That's City of London. But the first one you come to is the county's. So that was 25 years in the making. There was a lot of speak about the warden, Al Edmondson, having the vision for what Glendon Drive would become in 2025. So, you know, we talk about vision and Councillor Brennan shaking his head. I mean, you've been here for those many years, and so it's interesting how somebody had the vision, and because all that land had to be acquired, and it has been acquired through consent applications and other processes. So anyways, that will be finished off in the spring. It is basically a working roundabout now, but there's some cleanup on the two side roads that come off, and it'll look a lot better when they're done, but the cleanup will happen in the spring. Again, the winter has kind of shut things down, so that's what's going on with the roads.
Thank you. Inquiries or comments? Councillor Canis.
Nothing for me.
Councillor Brennan.
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Councillor Pell.
Nothing for me either.
Councillor Derbyshire.
Nothing for me.
Deputy Mayor.
I'm just going to say, I think you and I are going on Thursday morning to the London Mayor's State of the Union
Yes.
opening remarks. So it's always interesting, since they are the largest community in Middlesex County. They have a big effect on what goes on in Strathroy-Caradoc, and so it'll be interesting to see what's going on. We'll be representing the municipality.
Yep. Thank you. And just one final thing for council who may get asked this question, anybody who's watching, trying to get the message out. We are in a cold weather event, and that there are supports available. I've tried to post it myself on Facebook. There are supports available. You know, if it's youth, you have 37 Frank Street. YOU, there are supports available for women, abused women's shelter, and we do have the community navigator, but to point out to people and remind them that libraries are open during the daytime for warming centers. And if there is anyone who is in need, that needs somewhere for shelter, please reach out to the community navigator at the library. I did post their phone numbers. I may ask town staff to post that, but there are supports available for anybody who's struggling in the cold. Thank you. And with that, we will have a motion to go in camera. Call for motion to council enter closed session at 7:26 p.m. to discuss the following. One item in accordance with council's procedure bylaw to approve in-camera meeting minutes of December 16th, 2024. One item pursuant to section 239 2C of the Municipal Act regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, 22569 Troops Road. One item pursuant to section 239 2E and section 239 2F of the Municipal Act regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality, and regarding advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, award to zoning matter. Motion to go into closed session. Councillor Canis, second by Councillor Brennan. All in favor? Carried. Everyone be patient. Motion that open session resume at 8 p.m. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Brennan, all in favor, carried. Council met in closed session and considers matters it is permitted to do so under the Municipal Act and is listed on tonight's agenda. One item in accordance with Council's procedure bylaw to approve the in-camera meeting minutes of December 16th. The meeting minutes were approved. One item pursuant to section 239(2)C of the Municipal Act regarding a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, 22569 Troops Road. Council received a confidential report and direction was given to staff. One item pursuant to section 239(2)E and section 239(2)F of the Municipal Act regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality and regarding advice subject to solicitor-client privilege, award to zoning matter. Council received a legal opinion for information and direction was given to legal counsel. Motion that the direction given in closed session be approved. Councilor Brennan, second by the Deputy Mayor, all in favor, carried. Thank you. Now move on to the consideration of bylaws. There are 4 bylaws in front of you. Motion that these bylaws receive first, second, third, and final reading. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Kennis. All in favor, carried. Motion to adjourn at 8:02 p.m. Deputy Mayor, second by Councilor Kennis.
Hold on.
Oh, sorry. Councilor.
So on the schedule of meetings,
Oh, I apologize. Yep.
not that we're going back to that,
Yep.
but we've gotten rid of all the finance ones, right?
Yes.
Are they being replaced? Oh, sorry.
Yep, go ahead, sorry.
Are they being replaced with,
Strategic priority.
there you go, yeah.
Can we say TBD? Go ahead, oh, Brianna knows.
Okay, yes, thank you. Through the chair to Councilor Derbyshire. So yes, the intent is to resume our schedule of strategic priorities meetings. So I believe that would be the second Monday in February. But January 27th would be removed from the schedule.
Yep. That'd be good, Kevin. So we had the motion to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment? Carried.
Smack.